Thank you, Mr. Williams, and good afternoon to all listeners and viewers joining us by various means. I want to thank the presenters before me. Mr. Williams, just like some of the presenters who have gone before me, I did not prepare a comprehensive presentation. The reason being, Mr. Williams, is that I want to share with the general public some timeline of events that would have occurred since 2020. The president of the chamber, Ms. Matthews, would have indicated that it's almost a year, but it's longer than a year. And on the 23rd of March, we would have issued our first travel advisory against the China, Iran, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, Japan, the EU, Switzerland, UK, and by extension, the US, United States of America, French and Dutch territories in the Caribbean. And we began our screening process and mandatory 14-day quarantine. On the 25th of March, that would be tomorrow, we would have detected our first 2 confirmed cases of COVID-19 on St. Kitts and Nevis. Equally so, on the 25th, the Honorable Prime Minister would have announced that our borders were going to close on the 25th, effective 11:59 p.m. And that was to commercial flights and only emergency flights and cargo flights would have been allowed into the Federation. By the 31st of March, a week from today, St. Kitts and Nevis in 2020 would have gone into a full lockdown. It was not until August the 24th where on August the 29th, where the restrictions were lifted on curfews. So therefore, the country would have opened up. During that time, we were dealing a lot with misinformation, and we began our risk communication strategy. It was implemented, whereby we had daily briefings. Every day, we were here from Saturday to Saturday, Sunday to Sunday. And we saw eventually the impact it had in dealing with the misinformation. Every day, I say this to say, every week, our health professionals, our other members of the National COVID-19 Task Force, other members of our society, use this platform to bring information to you. This information is also used by the media houses to create news items. So therefore, there's a lot of information that is being shared via these platforms. There's no lack of information. One of the things I have seen is that the misinformation or the gossip or the bad news is shared quicker than the good news. You hardly see anybody sharing the good news of the good things that are happening or the advancements that we are making, the fact that we only have 2 active cases and out of 4,000 plus visitors that have entered into our federation, we have only had 44 cases with 42 recovered and 2 active, and I'm certain they are recovering nicely. No deaths, no death, no serious hospitalization. Yet this is being used, the success is being used basically to taunt that, why should I vaccinate? And I want to use the linkages. We have the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Act, or the bill, and that is basically being used for, to manage the present pandemic that we are dealing with. Now, what will be the benefits to persons outside the tourism sector? Because that is a discussion that is being had. Only the tourism sector, only the tourism sector. It's not only the tourism sector, it's all of society. Now, look at what's happening to the sporting community. The sporting community has a lot of restrictions. We see the Football Association having a lot of restrictions. They have international matches. They have a lot of things that has to be restricted, and that's worldwide. Look at the NBA. Look at the football leagues in Europe. Everything has restrictions. Let us look at our basic life. Even domestic travel, international travels, they have restrictions. If we want to go further, let's take a look at the entertainment sector. We have promoters, we have these persons who host these events as a means of income for them. And these individuals are basically now having challenges because they have many restrictions. Let's take a look at the churches. The churches have many restrictions on them. Look at weddings, look at funerals. Just last week in Jamaica, you would have seen that Jamaica suspended funerals for 2 weeks because of the treacherous situation that is happening in Jamaica. That's the reality. So we have to make a personal choice. We have been receiving complaints, as I shared with a group today, of persons saying incentives is blackmail. Incentives should not be interpreted as blackmail. Incentives is for persons to be able to feel encouraged to go and accept the vaccine. Yes, it's a personal decision. Now, here's the other question. If we are going to slowly take St. Kitts and Nevis into a slow socio-economic suicide by us not following the guidance of the science, having the treatment to overcome the pandemic and not vaccinate, then that's going to have to be a responsibility that you will have to take and not put the blame on government or any ministries, departments, or anyone else but your own selves. So therefore, you have seen that 90% of the doctors would have gone and accepted the vaccine. You have seen that persons within the business sector, I mean, I was amazed today in a meeting I attended with tourism stakeholders that the majority of persons in the tourism sector are the ones taking the vaccines. And the outcry is that the ordinary man and woman do not want to accept the vaccine because they are waiting. The CMO has stated the challenge with access to vaccines. So we have for 10,000, we need to reach to 33,000. We get the next batches of vaccines. If access becomes a challenge, then what? Where will you be counted? And that is something that you, the general public, have to make that personal decision and decide. Because the reality is, as stated by the Minister of Tourism today in this meeting, at some point in time, the ship industry is going to decide that unless your country is vaccinated and they can provide the protection for our passengers, our customers, then we will not come to your port. This will not be the responsibility of a government. This will have to be the personal responsibility of every individual who refuse to accept the vaccination process. And that's the true reality. This don't require for us to do any presentation or we've been talking for long enough. And all we're asking the general public is to continue to follow us just like you did in the beginning. In the beginning when we went into the lockdown, the country followed. We went together as a nation. Coming out of the lockdown, we came out together and we have been doing well. We reached the level now where we have the treatment to get us out of the pandemic. And now we are saying, no, we don't want to get out. Let us stay in this chokehold whereby eventually we are going to have a strong socio-economic impact. Let me just share with you some of the data that was frightening to us here at the National COVID-19 Task Force. The increase in domestic violence that was reported by the police during the times of lockdowns was significant. The impact on the mental health of our elders during the lockdowns was significant, extremely significant. And if we want to carry ourselves to that particular stage as a country, then you have to accept that responsibility, not the National COVID-19 Task Force, not the health professionals, not the government or anybody else, but your own selves. So therefore, St. Kitts and Nevis, I am appealing to you. I'm making this personal appeal. We see the business sector is coming on board. We have reached out to the religious leaders. They are helping. We're reaching out to all of civic society, fraternal associations. We are working in the communities. We are actually bringing the vaccines to your workplace. We're bringing it to your community. You see Dr. Wilkinson every minute. I have never seen him so much at town hall meetings in communities. So if you didn't know him then, you know him now. We have seen the health doctors and others going around and doing all these sessions, just like we did when we were going down into the lockdowns. We see what the impact of following the guidance of the science can do to us. While our state is good, it's not good enough as yet. We are appealing also. Mr. Williams said it's not a political thing, but we have to reach the influencers in the community. And I am appealing to all political parties in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis to encourage their supporters, to encourage their people to support the science and teach them of the importance of vaccination. It's critical. And in this vein, we have sent out, the National COVID-19 Task Force has made an appeal and sent an invitation to all the political parties. And we are hopeful that next week we can have a fruitful discussion on the way forward, because we have been consulting with a number of international consultants to develop a roadmap to recovery. And this roadmap to recovery must be inclusive of every single society, every single member of St. Kitts and Nevis, all of society approach. Ladies and gentlemen, all I am asking you, be counted. Be counted in the numbers that we have right now. 10,000, we reach 8,000. Be counted in the first 10,000. Be counted in the second 10,000, the batch of 10,000. Be counted in the last batch. At the end of the day, we will see the results. Bermuda and the Cayman Islands, they are 50%. Countries like Israel as well already at 60%. Once we reach a 70%, I want to rest. My colleagues want to rest. Until we reach it, we will not rest. We're going to reach and walk through every single byways and walkways in each community in St. Kitts and in Nevis. We saw the other day what a breach can do at a particular hotel in Nevis. Ladies and gentlemen, let us not go into community outbreak. That is not what we want. We don't want to go into any community spread. If we go into any community spread, we are extending the timeline for us to recover. We targeted early summer for us to be able to vaccinate everyone and reach that threshold. It means that persons who were intending to have some particular income for the next tourist season, this can be jeopardized. Persons who were thinking that there could be the potential to now be free to go to church like before, that can be jeopardized. Carnival, that can be jeopardized. One of the #1 leading economies in OECS can be jeopardized. Our economic and social well-being can be extremely jeopardized. Ladies and gentlemen, be counted, vaccinate, please stop hesitate. Thank you.